Well, it's getting a little bit better. We had demonstrations in Hollywood yesterday, and more are scheduled throughout the week. But the violence and looting seem to have calmed down a bit. When you close the parks and the playgrounds and the dance clubs and the movie theaters and basically everywhere that any recreation can be found, and you keep it all closed for months, you're begging for trouble. But it's also true that even in a normal year, violence can erupt across the country. All you really need is for a white cop to kill a black man and you're off and running, especially when somebody grabs a bullhorn and starts pumping up the crowd. And when that happens, the catchphrase heard most often is Black Lives Matter. How did this organization start? Well, it was sort of accidentally founded in 2013 by a Facebook post that went viral. This was right after George Zimmerman was acquitted of murder and the death of Trayvon Martin. The post was written by a radical lesbian feminist, Alicia Garza, and said, "Black people, I love you. I love us. Our lives matter." This was quickly turned into hashtag Black Lives Matter. Garza called a couple of like-minded friends, and by the next year, there was a website, and these three women were called the founders of the movement. 2014 was the year that BLM really got traction. In August, Michael Brown was shot by a cop in Ferguson, Missouri. It was hot, people were restless, and Black Lives Matter had gotten their act together as ringleaders. Never mind that Brown was stopped because he looked like the suspect in a strong-arm theft where a pack of cigars was stolen. Never mind that he looked like the suspect because he was the suspect. Never mind that he tried to get the cop's gun from him. He was black, the cop was white, and there was a lot of tempting stuff in the local stores. Before BLM, its founders were already activists. They were already hard-left black separatists. And when Ferguson erupted, they were there to capitalize on an existing agenda. BLM is about, and has only been about, searching out and publicizing every suspicious instance of a white cop killing a black person. And all throughout 2014, 15, and 16, it was one thing after another. An incident would occur, there would be protests followed by rioting and looting, and then we'd all move on to the next one. But their love of black lives seemed not to be triggered by blacks killing each other.
Black Lives Matter is a joke.
Yep.
You are the racist. The racist is you.
Yep.
It's because
Yep.
the white guy
Yep.
killed that you think
Yep.
they're racist. The racist, the Black Lives Matter. Go to Chicago.
Yeah.
They don't have schools.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
And they die every day. They don't matter.
They don't have
Because you
water.
can get attention from that. Go to
Shut up.
Southeast,
Shut up.
DC,
Nobody
and
wanna
tell
hear
them Black
it.
Lives
Shut
Matter.
up.
Group of hypocrites. Go to Southeast DC, Northeast, tell them Black Lives Matter. If it matters, it should matter everywhere. You guys are hypocrites. Attention seekers. Attention seekers. Black lives should matter everywhere. It doesn't take a white cop to kill a black person to matter. So I'm here today because I heard about a demonstration on, the George Floyd event, situation, which I'm going to be honest about it. It's wrong that, anything like that should happen, okay? It's very wrong. My problem is it shouldn't be an opportunity for a group of people to use that as an excuse or to come across as victims. No one is a victim here. The only victim here is George Floyd. Let's be very clear. Everybody knows that black kills black more than anything. You know that.
Imagine that. She doesn't feel oppressed, and she thinks that all Black lives matter. I guess Joe Biden hasn't told her that she's not black. If you listen to the mainstream media a few years back, you'd think that there was an endless stream of killings, almost too many to name. Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, and the two that I found most heartbreaking, Philando Castile and Walter Scott. There were too many, just not as many as the constant coverage implied. At a time when the first African-American president should have been putting the finishing touches on racial unity, these shootings and the spin put on them by BLM and others created tensions that we hadn't seen since the 60s. 2014 through 2016. Each of these years featured 3 or 4 shootings that fit the BLM profile. Whenever I've talked with black people who claim that police target African Americans, the first evidence they give is driving while black. According to a Stanford University report, a cop pulls over a motorist more than 20 million times a year in the U.S., and blacks are pulled over more often. Blacks represent just 13% of the population, but since they do get pulled over more often, let's say that they're 20% of total traffic stops. That would be 4 million stops a year. In 2016, at the height of BLM's activism, they protested the death by cop of about 20 black people. If you were black, you had 5 chances in a million of being killed by a cop in a way that seemed gratuitous. If cops were hunting blacks on the street, they sucked at it. But activists don't want perspective, they want anger. On July 2016, Afghan war veteran Micah Javier ambushed police at a BLM protest in Dallas, a peaceful protest. 5 officers died and 9 more were wounded. On July 17, black separatist Gavin Long shot 6 officers in Baton Rouge. 3 of them died. 16 police officers were ambushed and killed that year. That matched the number killed in 2014. It's hard to imagine that these cop killings were not inspired by BLM promoting the fiction that white cops wanted to kill black people. In 2017, Donald Trump was sworn in, and BLM seemed to disappear, until now. Let's be clear, the women who supposedly run BLM don't have an organization as such. They take donations and sell a lot of t-shirts and hoodies, and you can hire any one of them to speak if you've got 10 grand. But BLM is what they call decentralized. There is no formal structure. Buy a few shirts and a bullhorn and you can call yourselves a chapter of Black Lives Matter. As Sean King proved, you don't even need to be black. And clearly a lot of the so-called protesters who use the BLM slogan are not.
Look, I want you to know this is not,
Don't police people's way of
let me tell you
expressing
this,
themselves.
this is not a black woman who's putting Black Lives Matter. I just want you to know that right, but y'all doing that for us and we ain't asked you to do that. Listen, don't spray stuff on here when they gonna blame black people for this and black people didn't do it.
There's some
black person. But if we wanted you to do it, we would have asked. They not gonna show y'all faces when they see that on their building. They gonna blame that on us. Y'all are part of the problem. News come on, they gonna say we did that. We didn't do that. Stuff like this ain't right.
Look at the arrogance in those white girls. Look at their body language. They don't give a rat's ass about black people. They're anarchists. They're disciples of chaos. On the BLM website under News, the most recent posts are about getting Pete Buttigieg to resign as mayor of South Bend over the death of Eric Logan, and also their big push to defund the police. I dug around on the website looking for any mention of George Floyd and finally did find something. It was a video made up of tweets and photos. The accompanying comments say, quote, "Rest in power. George Floyd couldn't breathe. We can't either. We live in fear of walking outside, wearing a hoodie, going for a jog, sleeping in our own home, existing," unquote. Do these people look like they live in mortal fear of the police?
Oh, shit. Sweetheart, is this your car? Did you leave your car to go get some sneakers? What did you get? At least show me what you got. Show me what you got since you left your car. Hold on, let's see. Let's see what you got here. Let's see. Let's see what you got. You left your car in traffic, ma. You got right? You good? That's what I'm talking about. She crazy. These motherfuckers is crazy as hell. Come on, ma. Damn, the pregnant chick got right. This shit crazy, yo. This shit crazy, boy. Rover for president. Rover for president. Boy, you know the vibes. I learned the algorithm from Rover. Look. Them niggas ain't playing. Them niggas ain't playing. They going to get them Team Jordans right now. God damn, niggas is still coming out. What you got, bruh? Let me see what you got. Big bro, what you got? Let me see what you got. She came out here with a cooler. Niggas got Timbs out here. Oh, damn, big bro, you came up. Niggas ain't playing. Niggas got Timbs out here. Yeah, because that shit she did was dirty. Niggas is on the curb, all that. Curb shit, that's what I'm talking about. Curbside curb. She going back. She ain't playing. She going back.
Are cops perfect? Of course not. Could training be better? Always. Do people of all colors die wrongfully at the hands of police? Rarely, but yes. Have protests had an effect on police procedures? Absolutely. But as Heather McDonald explains, the Ferguson effect has mostly made police less likely to get involved in black neighborhoods in the first place. If you were a white cop, would you be eager to intervene when your every move could turn up on YouTube with no context? When you know that people are being trained to hate and fear police, would you want to put your career and your pension and your life on the line every time you left the house? Defunding the police, that's a strange thing to hope for when it's only the police who stand between criminals and their black victims. You want to know what happens when police stand down? Let's let this young gentleman explain it.
This is the aftermath of violence. This is the aftermath of wreckage. This is the aftermath of pain. This, all around me. This. Liquor store, gone. Pawn store, down there, gone. AutoZone, burned to the ground. This police station that is supposed to keep people safe can now no longer keep the community safe. Now the community no longer has any protection. And for what? What is the point of all of this wreckage? What is the point of all of this hurt and all of this pain? I was just talking to somebody that's local to this neighborhood, and she told me that now she doesn't have a grocery store, and now they don't have an auto parts store, and now they don't have a liquor store, and they don't have a pawn shop, and they don't have so many small businesses that put their blood, sweat, and tears and their entire livelihoods into building up. They put so much time and energy and money and resources into this neighborhood to build it up for years, possibly a decade, to build it up so that it can all be destroyed over the course of 3 or 4 nights. For what? It's not for justice. It's not for black lives. Because you're destroying more black lives with all of this destruction.
As I sit down to record this, I hear that LA's virtue signaling mayor has canceled $250 million earmarked for the LAPD. Instead, he says the money will go to heal the black community, whatever that means. Meanwhile, Minnesota AG Keith Ellison has upgraded the charges against Derek Chauvin and jailed the other 3 officers on a felony aiding and abetting charge. Will this satisfy the protesters? Will anything satisfy the protesters? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.